This is LK, BRUIX35, Sci-Fi Channel, Viacom Network, Science Fiction, only on the Time Warner Buffalo cable lineup 14201, 420, we're friendly. Science fiction. Pink Shorts is filmed in front of a live democracy republic, both expose and approve. Thank you for writing MREL, the news safety video. This is Auditorium Station, Auditory Nerve, and CBIS iPhone. This is Pink Shorts, the use, us, of land, zoning, and communicating with your patents. Buildings via my client's medulla. That was cool. Primary motor cortex, my primary visual, my primary auditory, my articulate fasciculus, my hippocampus, my reticle, my BRCA, my angular gyrus, or any part of the left or right hemisphere of the brain is in agreement of identical evidence and discretion of all content obtained will be used for the old television network exclusive. And where the businesses. Contact us at 594-1443. This number was given to us as well. Pay your Geico bills at 1-800. Too many glass claims. 1-800-932-8872. Too many auto claims. That's self-explanatory. Call Miss Cleo at 1-800-980-8637. Yuri Harris will pick up the phone. It is a two-party consent law requiring California to record eavesdrop on any confidential communication, including a private conversation or a verbatim exercise of listening to other people. We're listening to the president's suggestions for an hour. A telephone call without the consent of all parties to the conversation. This is a news program. Penal Code 632. January 18th, 3:34 a.m. January 20th at 10 p.m. March 20th at 8 a.m. And most recently, August 8th at 9 a.m. Statutes of limitation do not apply in this show. Restrict intrusion claims in California last for 2 years, according to Code Section 335.1. This is a live email you have received. Recognize intrusion upon seclusion claims. Reference Howell versus New York Post Co. And also turn to page 2 of your wireless bills. We've demonstrated settlements before. Motorola V710. They're always on page 2 or 3 of your wireless bill. Hello, page 6. Fox. Hello, Smiths. Hello. Intrusion upon seclusion claims is a special form of invasion of privacy. Keith intentionally intrudes physically or solitude exclusion of another. In moist states, intrusion or seclusion is a seclusion claim. A plaintiff must generally establish 4 elements. Defendant without authorization, babysitting business. Check. Second, offensive to a reasonable person, babysitting business. Check. Third, private matter intruded on a babysitting business. Check. And fourth, finally, cause mental anguish, pain, and suffering to the plaintiff. Please refer to mass tort claims. And intrusion upon seclusion, doing your job incorrectly is a tort claim. Working for the government third party clandestinely is what they're doing. Let's get to our video. I'm very excited to do today's show. I'm wearing Savvy from head to toe. I did everything you wanted me to do. Audio experience, 11 song, motivational speaker, richest man in the world, America, universe, galaxy. Save me some of that peach cobbler, paint the short way. I saved all your files. Highest paid singer in the world. Tweet us via early or late at FRESH_JORDANZ. If I was ordained, I would do the ceremony every 20 minutes of the hour. It changed. Refresh. Remember 311 all to speed your screening process of your new candidate. Your new iPhone is your president. 3.5 millimeter jack is now the lightning port. Weather. Pocket. All liquids must be in a 3-ounce size container. Must be in Latin escape route. Wear your crown. Remember 2511 wrote intercepting wire, oral, and electronic communication. Prohibited the new prohibition. He's the electoral college. He's the electoral foot. He's the electoral college. He's a college following him. Left wing. Let's put it together. Today's show is sponsored by America's first singing attorney, we made the law sound wonderful the way it should have been. Besides everything, QRM agency, broadcast media, social media, 11 song, close the doors, seatbelts. The music will sink into the sound system. The temperature's on 67 degrees. We're in a 2017 luxury from me to you. Well, you can roll your windows up, you can roll your windows down. You can ride with us to get the finer things in life. We're not going there. They can roll them back the prices any way they like. It's the largest employer, public sector employer in the world. They're the gov. Remember, it is a felony to promote suicide. 120.30 felony, 4 years prison, $5,000 fine. Today's show is Pink Shorts, Adobe Willustrator created the resume of myself, someone else, someone else, someone else, someone else, someone else. We last saw him making a left turn from Kenmore to Delaware, the credit card regulation state. Today's show is Nicole Blow Wacky. Take a moment of silence to figure out that and the Chevy Beretta, Installs Inc., and Best Buy. Today's MerriweatherA.Law Soundtruck Zoning. You built it, and we are a witness. V. Mary 02, Harvard Law School, V. Siri. The voice of Pink Shorts. Hi, V. Alley. The West Valley Demonstration Project on someone else's resume. Driving with Moog and Raytheon. CDMA Code Division Multiple Access and GSM. Global System for Mobile Supervisor. Even ethnicities must separate. Email Emmetano VI HSBC CBS phone or refund. Mistakes in programming. We're being brainwashed every day. Every channel. Get the countdown. Differences. Part LK BRU X35. The only way to go mouse white. Let's get to the video. That was a long intro. Hello, Fulton. How are you? I'm fine. Yeah, that was a long intro. Thank you, V. Siri. Let's get to our verbatim exercise. It's Barry.
I just met again with my national security
Good
counsel
weekend.
on the campaign.
Today's show is sponsored by Gilead Pharmaceuticals and Verbatim Software.
And Chairman Dunford, who just returned from meetings with our coalition partners in the Middle East.
Hello, Anonymous.
And for their continued leadership.
Hi. Let me do the beginning of this.
I last updated the American people on our campaign in June. Shortly after
the pepper spray.
In the weeks since, we've
continued
to
be relentless, starting things.
And on the ground in Syria and Iraq, to lose territory. Tragically, however, we have also seen that
the Indian settlement
has the ability to direct and inspire attacks.
Less amount
so
than
we've seen terrible bombings
we're the next
Iraq,
big settlement.
Jordan, in Lebanon,
Saudi
Arabia, Yemen, and Afghanistan.
Attacks
on Istanbul
airport,
a restaurant in Bangladesh.
The Electoral College
celebrations at a church
celebration in our feet represent the Electoral College. In fact,
the decline of ISIL in Syria and Iraq appears to be causing it to shift tactics that we've seen before. Emphasis on encouraging high-profile terrorist attacks, including in the United States.
High-profile barbershops.
As always, military, diplomatic, intelligence, homeland security, and law enforcement professionals are working around the clock with other countries and with communities here at home to share information
and to prevent
over the
such
years
attacks.
They've prevented many.
Over the years, they
But as
prevented
we've seen,
many.
it is still very difficult to detect and prevent lone actors or small cells of terrorists who are determined to kill the innocent and are willing to die.
And are willing to
That's
die.
why, as we discussed today, we're going to keep going after ISIL
aggressively
of this campaign.
And we've been with others.
Our air campaign continues to hammer ISIL targets. More
More
than 14,000 strikes so far. More than 100,000 sorties, including those hitting the ISIL core in Raqqa and in Mosul.
And
in stark contrast to ISIL, which uses civilians as human shields, America's armed forces will continue to do everything in our power to avoid civilian casualties. With our extraordinary technology, we're conducting the most precise air campaign in history. After all, it is the innocent civilians of Syria and Iraq who are suffering the most and who need to be saved from ISIL's terror. And so when there are allegations of civilian casualties, we take them very seriously. We work to find the facts, to be transparent,
very serious,
and to hold ourselves accountable for doing better in the future. We continue to take out senior ISIL leaders and commanders. This includes ISIL's Deputy Minister of War, al-Bajari, the top commander in Mosul, Hatim Talib al-Hamdani, and in yet another significant loss for ISIL, its Minister of War, Umar al-Shishani. None of ISIL's leaders are safe, and we're going to keep going after them. On the ground in Iraq, forces keep pushing ISIL back. Iraqi forces with coalition support finally liberated Fallujah. Now they're clearing ISIL fighters from more areas up the Euphrates Valley, and Iraqi forces retook the strategic air base at Qayyara, just 40 miles from Mosul. Now the last major ISIL stronghold in Iraq.
Hello, Twitter. How are you?
The additional 560 U.S. support personnel that I ordered to Iraq
get to work, folks.
Will help turn this base into a logistical hub and launch pad for
Hello, Twitter. We love you.
As they push into Mosul. Meanwhile, in Syria, a coalition of local forces backed by our special operations forces continues to take the fight to ISIL.
A mock trial.
The coalition is fighting its way into the town of Manbij, a gateway for ISIL fighters coming in and terrorists to attack Europe, which is why ISIL is fighting hard to hold it. As ISIL is beaten back, we're gaining vast amounts of intelligence, thousands of documents, thumb drives, digital files, which we will use to keep destroying ISIL's networks and stop foreign fighters. We also continue to intensify our efforts against Al-Qaeda.
Hello, how are you?
No matter what itself cannot be allowed to maintain a safe haven to train and plot attacks
against us.
I do want to step back and note the broader progress that has been made.
The progress has been made so far.
2 years ago, ISIL was raised across Iraq, to the outskirts of Baghdad itself, and many observers, ISIL looked invincible. Since then, in Iraq, ISIL has lost at the Manjib Dam, at Tikrit, at Beji, at Sinjar, at Ramadi, at Heap, at Rutba, and now
at water.
In Syria, ISIL's lost at Kobat and Tel Abyad, and at Tishra Dam and al-Shaddadi. ISIL has lost territory across vast stretches of the border with Turkey and almost all major transit routes into Raqqa. And in both Iraq and Syria,
including the 720, the credit line,
any significant territory.
So I want to repeat yesterday's show and the day before that. It's different.
Either Syria or Iraq in a full year.
Even
ISIL's leaders
can keep losing.
And their message to followers, they're increasingly acknowledging that they may lose Mosul and Raqqa. ISIL is right. They will lose them. We'll keep hitting them and pushing them back.
We'll keep pushing them, push on it.
They do.
Until they fall.
In other words, ISIL turns out not to be invincible. They're, in fact, inevitably going to be defeated. But we do recognize at the same time
call the police every time.
Is complex. And this cannot be solved by military force alone. That's why last month the United States and countries around the world pledged more than $2 billion in new funds to help Iraqis stabilize and rebuild their communities.
And embezzling the government treasury department.
Military campaign to liberate Mosul,
handing out funds that are embezzlement, 932.
To protect civilians and promote inclusive governance,
embezzling corporate funds and federal funds
to
civilians.
Divisions or new grievances. In Syria, said, defeating ISIL
embezzlement.
And Al-Qaeda requires an end to
That's correct. Serious embezzlement.
The regime's brutality against the Syrian people.
They're stealing from the treasury.
Into the arms of extremists. The regime
stealing
and allies continue to violate the hostilities, including with vicious attacks on defenseless civilians.
On civilians.
The evil sieges.
On the cities like
blocking food from reaching
food.
It is deplorable.
The
depravity of the Syrian regime has rightly earned the condemnation of the world.
$500 billion.
Direct involvement in these actions
in the last several weeks. Very serious questions about their commitment.
The U.S. remains prepared to work with Russia to try to reduce the violence, strengthen our efforts against ISIL and Al-Qaeda in Syria.
But so far,
Russia has failed to take the necessary steps.
Russia has failed the left foot.
Given the deteriorating
Given the
situation,
deterior,
it is time
to
show that it is serious about pursuing
these objectives.
Beyond Syria and Iraq,
Beyond Star Trek and Paramount Films, today's sci-fi, BRUX 35.
At the request,
at the stop of the grip. Please hold on, we're stopping fast. Government-aligned forces to CERT,
ISIL, and we will continue
to material support the government and disenfranchise ourselves.
One of the reasons that I decided
you can go on strike
largely
at any
maintain our
time.
current force posture was so that we could
If you
keep
agree with
eliminating
supporting
ISIL's
the
presence
government
there. And we delivered another blow last month when we took out a top
month.
ISIL leader in Afghanistan,
and Iraq, and Tops Market.
Finally, it should be clear by now.
Knows
this better than our military leaders.
Our military leaders
we need to crush
are frauds. We need to crush ISIL.
Their military defeat
will not be enough. So long as their twisted ideology exists, and my Twizzlers
will keep emerging.
The international community will continue to be at risk. I would love to do that with you anytime.
Reacting to the latest threat or lone actor.
That's
why we're also
allowing you in here. More
broadly,
including
the social,
economic, political factors
that help fuel
groups
like ISIL and Al-Qaeda in the first place.
Nothing
will do more to discredit
Nothing will allow you in here.
Being a caliphate,
you're always allowed.
Loses.
Yeah, you can lose it.
Base in Raqqa and in Mosul.
And
we're going to keep working with partners, including Muslim countries and communities,
letting all the colors
go where they want to go. What they are.
All the colors.
Murderers who kill innocent people, including Muslim families and children as they break their Ramadan fast, and who set off bombs in Medina near the Prophet's mosque,
one of the
holiest sites in Islam.
Moreover,
we refuse to let terrorists and voices of division undermine the unity and the values
and
and pluralism that keep our nation strong.
One
of the reasons that America's armed forces are the best in the world is because we draw on the skills and the talents of all of our citizens. From all backgrounds and faiths, including patriotic Muslim
Americans at risk,
give their lives,
and we're meeting in another food place.
I think the entire world was inspired this past Sunday when Muslims across France joined their Catholic neighbors at Mass, and in a moving display of solidarity,
play together.
The greeting they extended to each other has to be the message we echo in all of our countries and all of our communities. Peace be with you, and also with you. Now, before I take some questions, I also want to say a few words on another topic. As our public health experts have been warning for some time,
we want the real thing.
Seeing the first locally transmitted cases of the Zika virus by mosquitoes in the continental United States. Was predicted and predictable. So far, we've seen 15 cases in the Miami area. We're taking this extremely seriously. Our CDC experts are on the ground working shoulder to shoulder with health authorities. There is a very
American Stroke Association
to control mosquitoes there.
The American Stroke Association
urged to stay away from the neighborhood that we're focused on.
The leading cause. What's the leading cause?
And local to try to slow and limit the spread.
The leading causes.
I do want to be very clear, though. Our public health experts do not expect to see the kind of widespread outbreaks here
of the American Stroke Association in Mr. Stokes.
The kind of mosquitoes that are most likely to carry Zika are limited to certain regions of our country. But we cannot be complacent because we do expect to see more Zika cases. And even though the symptoms
we're meeting around food,
many may never even know.
Many may not get the food court or Burger King. We've seen him before.
And their babies
and the mayor of Buffalo.
So I guess
we're meeting the president around food
by going to cdc.gov. In addition, Congress needs to do its job. Fighting Zika costs money.
Fighting the Zika and the leading cause of stroke, Mr. Stokes and spread.
Research in the new vaccine.
And
by the way, NIH the first clinical trials in humans.
There's a loophole to get into the government. That's why his administration was here
for more funding. Not only did Republican-led Congress not pass our request, they worked to cut it.
They went
for summer recess without passing any new funds for the fight against Zika.
With the American Stroke Association and American Heart Association have been doing their baldwin best
from other areas.
In other areas.
Money that we need to fight Zika
is Zika.
the situation is getting critical.
The situation is getting
For instance,
critical.
without sufficient funding,
For example,
NIH clinical trials,
clinical trials,
possibilities of a vaccine, which
mock
is well
trials
within
of Pam
reach,
Leslie.
could be delayed. So this is not the time for politics.
We've delayed
more than 40
medicine.
U.S. service members have now contracted Zika overseas. 50 U.S. states.
50 U.S.
More than
states.
1,800 cases.
1,800 cases.
To travel
affected
areas, and that
in affected areas.
Nearly 500 pregnant women.
500 pregnant women.
Zika is now present in almost
And
every
Zika
part
is
of
now
Puerto
present
Rico.
in 3/4 of the world.
Now we have the first local transmission in Florida.
First local transmission.
There will certainly be more.
And it's 109A.
Meanwhile, Congress is on a summer
Lakeview.
recess. A lot of folks talk about
a lot of folks meet at food places.
Zika is a serious threat to
It
Americans.
is a food court.
Especially babies.
Right now.
So once again, I want to urge the American people to call their members of Congress and tell them to do their job.
It was wonderful.
Deal with this threat. Help protect the American people.
Deal with this threat.
Zika.
Help protect the American people.
I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to start with someone who just assumed the second most powerful office in the land.
Second most powerful office in the land.
The New Correspondents Association president. Also from Reuters. Jeff.
Congratulations.
Hardly powerful. And happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
As Islamic State loses territory, you and other officials have said that it is becoming a more...
Hello, Twitter. How are you?
Are you satisfied that the United States and its allies have shifted strategy sufficiently to...
We're talking about 109 Lakeview.
Given your comments this week
and meeting around food.
Volatility and lack of fitness to be president,
we're always meeting people around food. Pastries.
ISIS and other sensitive national security issues.
Why is it food?
I'm never satisfied.
I'm never satisfied. I'm infidel.
Our response, because
I do what I like to do.
If you're satisfied,
I'm satisfied.
That means the problem solved.
That means
it's not.
So
we just spent
a
couple hours
meeting
with my top national security
advisors.
To look at what can be done.
What can be done?
It is absolutely necessary
for us
to defeat ISIL
in Iraq and Syria.
It is not sufficient, but
it is necessary.
Because so long as they have those bases,
if they have those bases,
they can use their propaganda. To suggest that somehow there's still some caliphate. Being born.
And being serious.
That can insinuate itself. Folks who may be willing to travel terrorist attacks. It's also destabilizing for countries in the region.
New iPhone, September 16th.
I am pleased with the progress that we've made on the ground in Iraq and Syria. We're far from freeing Mosul and Raqqa. But what we've shown is that when it comes to conventional fights, ISIL can be beaten with partners on the ground, so long as they've got the support from coalition forces that we've been providing. In the meantime, though,
billboards.
You're seeing ISIL carry out external terrorist acts. And they've learned something. They've adapted from Al Qaeda, which had a much more centralized operation and tried to plan very elaborate attacks. And what ISIL has figured out is that if they can convince a handful of people or even one person to carry out an attack on a subway or at a parade,
the New York National Guard,
some other public venue, and kill scores of people as opposed to thousands of people. It still creates the kinds of fear and concern that elevates their profile.
So
in some ways,
New York National Guard, Corps Cadet,
for smaller, less complicated attacks,
less car washes,
because it doesn't require as many resources on their
part. It doesn't require car wash.
But it does mean that we've got to do more to
car wash,
generate the intelligence.
There's a car wash.
To work with our partners.
A car wash.
In order to degrade those networks. And the fact is that those networks will probably sustain themselves even after.
Oh, look at it.
ISIL is defeated in Raqqa and Mosul.
In Iraq and Mosul.
But what we've learned
from our
efforts to defeat Al Qaeda
car washes
is that if we stay on it, our
if we
intelligence
like
gets better,
washing cars,
and we adapt as well.
we'll like
And
anything
eventually,
else the Navy Fed has to
we
offer.
will dismantle these networks.
Dismantle these networks
This
also.
is part of the reason why.
This is
However,
part of the
it is
reason
so
why
important for
we
us
have car
to
washes
keep our eye on the
by the
ball
bathroom.
and not panic.
What comes out of the hose?
Fear, because
Because
ISIL can't defeat
because the kids
the
love
United
car
States
washes.
of America.
Who doesn't love car
our NATO
washes?
partners.
We love
can
car
defeat ourselves,
washes.
though, if
You
we
know, you
make
just
bad
wash the
decisions.
car and you rinse it
We have
all.
to understand that as painful
Research
and
in motion.
as
Rinse
tragic
it.
as these
The iPhone sheet.
attacks
Hello, Steve Jobs.
we are
Hello.
keep on
We love the
grinding away,
rinse. iPhone rinse.
preventing them wherever we can, using a whole of government
We love
effort
the iPhone rinse.
to knock down their propaganda,
Knock down the
to disrupt
propaganda,
their
to
networks,
disrupt
to take
networks.
their key operatives
We
off
got
the
rinse.
battlefield, and that eventually
We love rinsing the cars.
we will win.
We will win.
But if we
But it goes there too.
if we start
making
bad
decisions,
indiscriminately killing civilians, for example, in some of these areas, instituting offensive religious tests on who can enter the country.
the country.
Those kinds of strategies can end up backfiring. Because in order for us to ultimately win this fight, we cannot frame this as a clash of civilizations.
A clash of civilizations.
The West and Islam.
The
that
West
plays
and
exactly
Islamic.
into the hands of ISIL and the perversions. Perverse interpretations of Islam. As far as Mr. Trump, we are going to
the car wash.
go by the law, which is that
Niagara in Connecticut. Who wants to wash their cars?
If somebody's the nominee, the Republican nominee
Scrub a
for
dub
president, they
dub.
need to get
Scrub a dub
security
dub.
briefing so that if they were to win,
If they were to win,
they are
184
not
Connecticut,
starting from scratch
in
terms of being prepared for this office.
being prepared for this office.
And I'm not going to go into the details of the nature of the
I'm not
security
going to go into
briefings
details about
that
what they do.
both
the
candidates
children.
receive.
It's
What
not-
I will say is
What I will say is,
they have been told these are
it's
classified
at least
briefings.
obscenity.
And if they want to be president, they
Be
got to start
president.
acting like president.
They need to start acting like
And that
president.
means being able to
Today's show is sponsored by Verbatim and Sci-Fi
receive these
Channel. The
briefings and,
Countdown. BRU X35. We
not
spell
spread them
bankruptcy the short way.
well,
Well,
I think I've said enough on
I
that.
think I've said enough.
Mary
I've
Bruce.
said bankruptcy.
Thank you, Mr. President. What is your response to critics who say the $400 million in cash that you sent to Iran was a ransom payment? Was it really simply a pure coincidence that a sum that was a payment that was held up for almost 4
Bring your
decades
cars up to the car wash for $5. Scrub-a-dub-dub, car wash.
None of that money went to support terrorism.
Yes, right in the bathroom. Where else should it be?
It's been interesting to watch this story surface.
We're allowed to hold the
Some of
car
you may
washes.
recall,
What are you talking about?
We announced
We
these
announced
payments
these
in
payments?
January,
In January,
many months ago.
many months ago.
There wasn't a secret.
There wasn't a secret.
We announced them
We had a car wash.
to all of you.
To all of you.
Josh did a briefing.
Josh did a briefing on them.
This wasn't some
This wasn't some nefarious deal.
nefarious deal.
And I said it
at the
before you
time,
said it.
we
At the time,
explained
we explained
that
Iran,
pressed
the press,
claim before an international
too many
tribunal
glass claims.
about them recovering
Too many
money
glass
of
claims.
theirs that we had frozen.
We have frozen that
As a consequence of its working its way through
working
the
its way
international
through the
tribunal,
national committee.
it was the assessment of our lawyers
Assessment of
that
our
we were now at
lawyers,
a point
chief of
where
staff.
there was
Dennis
significant
McDonough,
litigation
hello.
risk, and we could end up costing
We
ourselves
could end up costing ourselves
billions of dollars.
trillions of dollars
It was their
in
advice and
bankruptcy.
suggestion
Their advice
that
and
we
suggestion
settled.
that we set out.
And that's what these payments
And
represent.
that's what my 500 billion comes
And it
from.
wasn't a secret.
Wasn't a secret.
We were completely open with
We were
everybody.
completely
about it.
open
It's
with
interesting to me
everybody.
how suddenly this became a story
He's
again.
written a script.
That's point number one.
That's point number
two,
one.
we do
Point
not
number two,
pay
we do not pay
ransom for hostages.
ransom for hostages.
We've got a number of Americans being held all around the world.
We've got rainstorms all over the
I meet with
world.
their families.
Katrina
And it is heartbreaking.
will not be funded.
And we have stood up an
entire
section
of
interagency experts
with hitting our identity
all the time to get these Americans out. But those families know that we have a policy that we don't pay ransom.
We don't pay ransom.
And the notion that we can somehow start now in this high-profile way and announce it to the world. Even as we're looking into the faces of other hostages,
artificial age,
loved ones are being held hostage, and say to them that we don't pay ransom, defies logic.
Are you the president?
So that's point number 2. We do not pay ransom. We didn't here, and we don't. We won't in the future.
What do I do
Precisely because if we did, then we would start encouraging Americans to be targeted, much in the same way that some countries that do pay ransom end up having a lot more of their citizens being taken by various groups.
Taken by a copy of the president.
Is that
the
timing of this was in fact dictated by the fact that as a consequence of us negotiating around the nuclear deal, we actually had diplomatic negotiations and conversations with Iran for the first time in several decades. So the issue is not so much that it was a coincidence as it is that we were able to have a direct discussion. John Kerry could meet with the foreign minister, which meant that
they're suggesting
our ability to clear accounts on a number of different issues at the same time converged. And it was important for us to take advantage of that opportunity. Litigation risk that it raised. It was important for us to make sure that we finished the job on the Iran nuclear deal. And since we were in a conversation with them, it was important for us to be able to push them hard in getting these Americans out. And let me make a final point on this. It's now been well over a year since agreement with Iran.
It's now 8:46. The World Trade has been crashed.
And
today's show was sci-fi. BRU 30.
It has worked exactly the way we said it was going to work.
It worked.
You'll recall that there were all these stories about how Iran was going to cheat, and this wasn't going to work, and Iran was going to get $150 billion to finance terrorism, these kinds of scenarios.
All these kind of scenarios. Hello,
and
Broncos.
none of them have come to pass.
It's a mule.
And it's not just the assessment of our intelligence community. It's the assessment of the Israeli military and intelligence community. The country that was most opposed to this deal that acknowledges this has been a game changer and that Iran has abided by the deal and that they no longer have sort of short-term breakout capacity that would allow them to develop nuclear weapons.
Sean Williams.
So what I'm interested in is if there's some news to be made.
It's putting that somewhere.
Why not have some of these folks who were predicting disaster say, you know what, this thing actually worked.
It works in here.
That would be a shock.
In and out.
That would be impressive.
That would be a copy.
If some of these folks who had said the sky is falling,
that has been done
said, you know
before.
What? We were wrong.
They were wrong then.
We are glad that Iran
no longer has
the capacity to break out in short term and
we don't have the cap, the new era.
But of course, that wasn't going to happen.
Or the embassy suite.
Instead,
what we have is Tim McVeigh
manufacturing of outrage
and Randall Stephenson, who's the leader of the Boy Scouts.
Disclosed in January.
And today,
the only bit of news that is relevant on this
Saturday,
that we paid cash.
Which
brings me to my last point.
The reason to forever think of me
is precisely because
Fox making television shows 24.
And we do not have a banking
relationship with Iran.
And we couldn't send them a check.
And
we could not wire the money.
And the accountant.
It is not at all clear to me.
It is not all clear.
Cash, as opposed to check, a wire transfer,
is where you spending it.
Made this into a news story. Maybe because it kind of feels like
where do you spend it?
Spy novel or
spying all over.
Some
debits and credits
crime novel.
Crime novel. Daniel Steele.
Exchanged. The reason cash was exchanged is because
there has to be a paper trail.
We don't have a banking relationship with Iran.
It's a deal.
Which is precisely part of the pressure that we were able to apply to them.
How do you track your deals?
So that they would ship
a
whole bunch of nuclear material out and close down a bunch of
portable
facilities
speakers.
That, as I remember,
Steve Jobs,
2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, was
ago,
people's top fear and priority.
People's top fear and priority.
That make sure Iran doesn't have breakout nuclear capacity. They don't.
New era caps. It's worked.
Josh Letterman.
All right, well, let's talk to Josh Ernst from the White House. Thank you, Mr. President, on that wonderful interview, verbatim. Hello, Mr. Ernst.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, Josh Ernst. This is verbatim, MerriweatherA.Law.
Today I'm fighting off one of those nasty summer colds. So
nasty summer cold.
I'll try and keep the sniffling and
Who wants a car wash?
Up here. I don't have any statements at the top, Josh, so we can go straight to your question.
Car wash is $5 a car.
I hope not.
Thanks, Josh. Just wanted to start briefly with the arrest this morning of a DC.
Get your cars washed with a Geico car wash, $5 a car.
Islamic State.
Located by the latrine.
Arrest on terrorism charges of a law enforcement officer.
They're training the children. It's okay.
Concerning
to wash your cars.
Or the White House is that, and do you know anything additional about what investigators?
It's a hole.
Josh, I know that the Department of Justice has issued a
it's a hole.
Detailing some of the evidence they've collected in this case.
It's a hosey.
So I'll let them speak to the details.
It's a hosey.
I think what I would just say more is the Department of Justice, law enforcement officials at the FBI,
and washing cars is a correlation to what you want to do with a car. And the people who watch them.
The FBI and U.S. attorneys across the country
the FBI
make announcements about
and Shoreline
that they have made
is just a block away
against
reinforces what happened.
Support extremists.
And
we're mindful
of the post office
that is posed
around the block from there.
By homegrown extremists.
And
we know that
that
is used by extremists
McDougal is eagle of the post office. It's the logo of the postal service. It's an eagle. McDougal eagle. In the United States as well.
The FBI and the
FBI and the U.S. Postal Service have something to explain. Use the relevant resources to pursue these investigations.
Do everything possible to protect the American.
Do everything possible.
I wanted to ask about Donald Trump's suggestion that the election might be rigged.
Get your cars cleaned for $5. Here, the Geico car wash. The eagle with the logo of the U.S. Postal Service. Hello. That's right, Geico. Big Siri, good morning. How are you? I'm good. I'm waiting to get my car washed. Super kiss it.
That confidence in
Super.
a situation where people you don't have faith in the confidence of
what are they doing with those hoses?
Well, Josh, I know that this was the subject of some debate
They're holding
at the end
it.
of the last presidential election when some
teach them how to wash cars.
Governor
Couldn't
Romney
cite 184 Connecticut.
skewed polling.
Help them wash the car.
So this is not
Hold it.
a new claim. I would just note that it is often
I would just note
a claim
that
made by
it's a
people who
claim
don't
made
know what
by
elections.
Vernon Merriweather.
What
Obscenity.
I'll just say in general.
I would just say in general
the cornerstone of
that
our
the
democracy
cornerstone
is the ability
of
eligible
Niagara
voters,
and Connecticut,
citizens, to cast a ballot and to have
you are not the father.
And
We're in Connecticut.
the more the people participate in that system,
You are not.
the more the people participate in
More
that
people
process,
participate in the process.
the stronger our democracy.
We
And the
filmed this
president's
in
made that
Connecticut.
case, not just in front of audiences.
Not
of
just in front of
Democrats. He's made
audiences.
that case in front of audiences.
But that case in front of audiences.
In front of audiences that include
In front
people
of
that
audiences.
don't share his views or may
Share
not
his
even
views.
have voted for him in the two previous elections.
We wash cars with
So
hoses.
the president believes
The
strongly
president believes strongly
that our democracy benefits when
our
more people are
democracy
engaged.
benefits
And
from the
he's certainly
FBI
willing to encourage people to engage in that.
and the U.S. Postal
You've
Service
seen the United States Department of
and
Justice
Shoreline
pursue cases in the courts to ensure that the rights of
our eligible voters
when it comes to
are
participating in elections.
disenfranchised.
And
and we give them Walmart gift cards. We give them the extra deposits, and we say, well, you've already been paid to offer up advice on what we can do to minimize bankruptcy. Today's Sci-Fi 35.
The president believes that our democracy benefits.
Today's show sponsored by the Smithsonian, Channel 131.
And when as many eligible voters as possible cast ballots.
For washing cars.
To put it more bluntly, can the U.S. government provide assurances that this election, at least from a mechanical standpoint, will not be rigged against
the New York National Guard Corps of Cadets?
Confidence in the integrity of our electoral process.
Young Cook.
And everybody else should too.
Secretary Jay Johnson this morning said that
we're
one of
in.
the things that the U.S. should look into is
hello, Metia. Hello, good morning. How are you?
Of the country, which should obviously trigger some additional protections and perhaps eligibility for federal funds. Is that an idea that
Justice Sonic has nothing on us?
Well,
nothing on us.
An idea that other members of the President's National Security Team have also discussed.
We wash cars with our hands.
I think this should be an indication that this administration has placed the highest priority on cybersecurity. The administration understands that there are risks in cyberspace.
West Point washes cars
too. Take a variety of forms. And that's why the president included in his budget.
That's why the president included
more than $1 billion.
More than $1 billion.
Increase our cyber
to increase our obscenity.
To protect public sector.
To protect our public
and government
sector.
Networks, but also to more effectively work
and
with the
our Brian supervisors. It's our honey.
That's maintained by the private sector.
Brian, our honey.
Unfortunately, as we've discussed many times, Republicans in the Congress.
We love our honey troops. Honey mustard. We love them.
That's quite unfortunate.
We love our honey troops.
Raises questions about whether or not they have their priorities in order.
In the car wash.
When it comes to how important our cybersecurity is in this country,
Super
the president and this administration have made that a priority.
And
there are risks.
There are risks.
But I think the American
people teaching children how to wash cars.
In our ability to
in West Point, they're gonna think you're washing cars.
Risks and to confront that threat.
Open showers. Tim.
On Zika, New York's Attorney General is targeting.
It's just water. It's okay.
That make phony products. They say they fight.
It's water. It's okay. Just drink it. It's water.
How concerned is the administration that?
It's water. Schaefer Village. Hello, Schaefer Village water.
Well, Tim, at the risk of disappointing the New York Attorney General, I've not seen.
It's just a car wash. It's okay.
But I can tell you.
But I can tell you that
that our experts
of obscenity
and in states,
will agree.
State and local governments across the country are very focused
to think that it's water.
And we would encourage
timeless.
Who are concerned.
We're concerned
to consult their doctor.
To consult
the publicly available resources.
It's just water. It's okay.
Local public health officials or even
teach children it's water.
The CDC has been working very effectively.
With
local public health officials.
Local public health officials.
So
people have questions. People have questions of what happened. It starts with washing your cars, keeping your cars clean.
The experts and to follow that advice.
In 1 week.
And on Zika also, can the administration?
How do you bribe a captain? On how to be a captain?
To relax some of the restrictions on some of the.
You give them a car wash. What else?
Have been restricted over the years to fight Zika.
You give them an Avis Enterprise.
What I would say about this.
What I would say about these rentals.
The administration is going to continue to rely on the advice of
correlation
the EPA
of washing the cars before you get in an accident.
In determining what is the most effective way for us to try to fight mosquito populations that could carry this virus.
That's right, our honey. Let's take it.
I know that our public health professionals and environmental experts have determined that in some places in South Florida, for example, aerial spraying for
does not sound like
could help
the people who have instilled this in you.
Population that carries the virus.
Who owns the phone network?
So, we're willing to.
The Stingray people own it. Yeah, the Stingray people own the phone network.
Vector control measures.
It's the Stingray people. They own the phone line.
In some cases, it does raise questions about environmental safety. It does raise scientific questions about how effective certain chemicals are against
our resume is.
Mosquito.
Creditors interchange.
Species that carries the virus.
What are we interchanging?
We're mindful of all of those questions, and we'll certainly
interactive, interchanging,
making decisions about the most effective strategies to deploy.
Bro, that's been Pink Shorts. We'll talk to you guys on the re-air. This has been a Merriweather production. Be interactive. Interchange.